All right, welcome back. We are going to talk about weekly warm up number 6. So we're going to look at those questions. This is the one that probably a lot of you need some of the help on, just because this is something that we haven't talked about in a while, and we shortly talked about it when we were in class. So there are people that we focused on, but it's been a while and it wasn't as in depth as the French Revolution. So this is a lot of questions about the South American and Mexican revolutions and the Haitian Revolution. So we'll give a quick look at that. That way you guys can get help on it. The capitalism question, that's just something you should know by now. Um, just remember, capitalism is what we have in the United States. That's a system of our economy where basically it's privately owned and the people make the decision on what to buy and sell. So, and remember, Enlightenment, that's weekly warm up number 3, I believe, was the Enlightenment influences. So you can go back and look at that and relate them to this Latin American and Mexican revolutions. So it's going to be quicker than the last one I did because it's only one. So remember when we look at this, I'm going to zoom out a little bit for you guys so we can see the full pyramid. So remember that this was the system in Mexico that they had set up. We had the Peninsulares, we had the Creoles, Mestizos, Mulattoes and Free Blacks, Indians and Native Americans and slaves. So this was their social class system of who had basically the power and more rights in their system. So the Peninsulares, those are the people that were born in the peninsula of Spain, the Iberian Peninsula. So if you're born in Spain, you had the most power. Creoles were Spanish descent, but born in Mexico or Latin America. So they still had power, but they were looked a little down from the Peninsulares. Mestizos, mulattoes, free blacks, Native Americans, people who were full Native American, they were underneath everybody. So if you had a little Spanish blood, you were above the Native Americans. And then finally, slaves were at the very bottom because obviously they were not free. Okay. Okay. So the Mexican Revolution kind of was, I don't want to say inspired by, but really, I wonder if I can zoom out a little bit of that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this so it looks a little better. Um, hmm. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be able to mess with that right now. But anyways, it was a Creole priest. So if we go back to where the Creoles were, Creoles are, so this guy had a decent amount of power. He was Spanish blood, but just born in Mexico. And he's known as the father of the revolution because he gave a speech known as the Cry of the Dolores. So it was about suffering in his home, in his city, and he spoke out against the Spanish rule and stressed rights for all the people. This is part of kind of the speech where he talks about hating the conquistadors. The dreaded Cortez started this plague of Spanish basically taking over Mexico and doesn't think it should exist anymore. It's saying like kill all the peninsulares, kill all the Spanish people that are trying to keep us down. So how it started is he led 60,000 mestizos and Native Americans to Mexico City with clubs, machetes, axes, muskets, but there was no match for the Spanish troops because remember, Spain has a very strong military where they have armor, they have cannons, they have cavalry, they have muskets, and they're well trained. So even though there were 60,000 of them, they really didn't have a great chance. So Hidalgo was captured and imprisoned. The Peninsulares tried and convicted him for treason, and he was executed. So they put it down, but the problem is now Hidalgo is going to be looked at as this, sacrificial martyr to the cause, and the people are going to rally around that, almost like he's a saint now. So they thought it was over, but like I said, Hidalgo's death made him a martyr. Revolution began to grow because people were like, look what they did to Hidalgo. This is what the Spanish are going to do to everybody who stands up against him. Uh, Spain could not send more troops because they were dealing with a lack of money and troops from the war they had with Napoleon. Because remember, Napoleon started conquering all of Europe. Well, Spain was being attacked by France, so they were dealing with that, and they didn't have the troops to send to Mexico. So Jose Maria Morales took over the fight and was victorious by 1821. So they end up becoming a republic with a president where the people can elect their representatives. So it was a very successful revolution. Mexico is still a country today, so obviously their independence movement has made it where they can continue to keep their own individuality as a country. Then we had the South American revolutions. So we had Simon Bolivar was the big one we talked about. He was the greatest leader of the revolutions in South America from Venezuela, and it was the first South American country to try to gain independence from Spain, which was weak due to the war with France. So once again, we see France and Napoleon controlling Spain, making them weak, where Spain can't stop these other revolutions from happening overseas. So it declared its independence, but Spain launched a military attack to stop it. Bolivar escaped, but he launched another attack and retreated again. And eventually they will gain their independence. This is one of the speeches that Bolivar gave. It took 7 years, but he was able to liberate the area, which today is Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela, Colombia, and Bolivia, named after Bolivar. Let's see here. So he wanted to unite all of this part of South America into these territories. Obviously, it divided into many more countries than this, but that was kind of his goals and dreams. Let's see here. So he did fail uniting those. Bolivar gained another nickname. He's often called George Washington of South America because he was similar to George Washington, leading American soldiers to fight for their independence. So he's often, especially down there, compared to George Washington. Um, just some more things about him gaining independence. Asking you who owns this. So these are Spanish territories. If you don't know who owns Brazil during that time, it's Portugal. So Portugal owns Brazil during this time period, which is why it wasn't a problem as far as remember they're fighting against Spain, they're not fighting against Portugal, and Portugal isn't being attacked by Napoleon at the time, so Portugal could have came over and dealt with that. Let's see here. By the 1830s, most of them gained their independence. Is that everything? Yep, that's 20 out of 20. So the last one that we got to kind of pull up is the Haitian Revolution. That's a video. Sorry, let me pull this up real quick. Hmm. Not what we need. I mean, sure, I guess. So let's see what we got here. Sorry, I thought it was in that slide, so. All right, so this is kind of the quick notes of it, not as many pretty pictures, but you can get the information from this. The main thing that you need to get is who led the slave revolution, which is also known as the Haitian Revolution. Basically, it was a slave colony in Haiti, and it was led by Toussaint Louverture, and he basically was a former slave, but he was also educated because his master was kinder to him and educated him and taught him kind of the ways of the world. And eventually he's going to become a military leader for the people of Haiti. And we have a lot of slave uprisings. We have these instances where they're at these sugarcane plantations and they're lighting the plantation house on fire, and they're killing the masters, and they're really driving France crazy. And once again, this is actually happening during parts of the French Revolution where they can't respond to it. And when Napoleon takes over, he wanted to restore slavery to the colonies because during the French Revolution they freed slaves in Haiti, but then Napoleon wants to make it a thing again. So, and it's one of those things when you're like, well, you just said you wanted slavery to end, but now Napoleon wants to bring it back again. So it just infuriated the slave population, and most of the people in Haiti during the time were slaves. The slave owners were really outnumbered. Uh, yeah, it was one of those things where it wasn't a good situation for France to be in. And eventually Haiti is going to win because people don't want to keep dying for this issue of slavery. It becomes the first independent country in Latin America in 1804 and one of few successful slave revolts in history. We even had slave revolts in the United States, like Nat Turner, where they rebelled, but then it was put down. And there's a lot of those instances in history where slaves have risen up and tried to overthrow the masters. But the Haitian Revolution is one of the bastions of yes, this actually worked. So that's really all you need to know for the Haitian Revolution. Just that the slaves overthrew their masters and rebelled and became their own free country in 1804. So that's all you need for the questions for number 6. Next week, we'll go ahead and give videos out to help you with the other ones and keep moving forward as we do this online curriculum. So make sure that you guys are staying on top of your work. If you have any questions, let me know, and we will see you all next time.